All right, so welcome everybody. I'm only going to be formal in the beginning, and then since most of you guys know me, it's just going to go off the rails pretty quickly, I'm sure. So
Probably.
I just wanted to say thank you so much for joining us for day one of the 12 days of Christmas. Now, I have to just at least give a quick little background of why I decided to do this, and hopefully Sophie can fill me in on things and other people. You know, everybody gets a little like crazy before Christmas. There's the Advent stuff, which, mind you, you have to be way prepared ahead of time to create an Advent and get that in people's hands. And that's just not me at all. And then there's the whole like Vlogmas, which I got to tell you, I know you do it, Sophie. So somebody has to explain to me what the hell that is. So all of these things that take planning. And honestly, this year for me, I just needed some peace. I didn't want to feel like I was caught up in the rat race of getting ready for Christmas. And I just wanted to try to enjoy it and not feel like I was chasing after things. And yet I wanted to still be able to be with everybody and create community. So I started looking at, I'm like, what the hell are the 12 days of Christmas? So like, mind you, it's a song, but then I'm like, it's an actual thing. And it's after Christmas. Brilliant. I got this. So that is where this all came from. Now, I did want to do a little more homework because I did a ton of research. I just didn't write it down. But there's actually like not only, you know, the partridge in the pear tree and all that stuff, but there's actually like a whole meaning behind it. Some of you might know that if you're a little more religious than me. But either way, I really found it interesting, a lot of the stuff that I was reading. And I thought, you know, I love community, and there was people I knew, people I've got stuff that I'm working with. And then actually I have to say Sophie is like a perfect example of somebody that like I just absolutely adore, and we'll connect every once in a while on Instagram, and sometimes we'll go on rants for a little bit and then we'll just like drop off. But truth be told, I really don't know that much about Sophie. I just adore her, and I was so excited to finally meet you in person at Rhinebeck. That was like completely epic. And that's a lot of what this is all about, because I thought maybe there's some of my people that don't know you, and if you brought people to the mix that you know maybe don't know me, and all of us as small business. And I didn't mean to make it all women, but as of right now it is. But just like everybody getting together and sharing the love and spreading joy and just, you know, making new friends. So that's what this was about. Now, there are some culminating things because we definitely have some sneak peeks coming up. We definitely have some collabs. There's definitely going to be some yarn drops. And then on the last day, January 6th, we do have a raffle. So I've got this huge basket of stuff that's valued at about $500, and then one lucky winner is going to get it. And I just thought that would be fun. I'll tell you how to get in on that as well. Plus, because I think a certain somebody is on here as well, I am going to be officially naming the unnamed baby llama on the 6th. I promise that is the culmination of all of this. So lots to look forward to. And actually, all of the people that'll be with me, I figured then I'll also invite them if they want to come back on the 6th and stick their head in and say hey, and, you know, just kind of like chat it up. Then that's that. So that's that. That is my whole synopsis of why we're doing this. You are kicking it off. There's so much I want to know because that's just me. I ask a ton of questions. I don't even really officially know what the hell Boxing Day is. And I already told you we have to talk about tattoos because I just got my hand finished.
I saw that.
And it hurt like shit, to be honest. So like this is really your platform, but I do tend to interrupt and talk a lot too. So you have to first tell me how to pronounce your last name.
Deschamps. So just so you know, I am an expat from Quebec. I've been in Ontario since 2010. And yeah, so that's where the last name comes from. And most of my family's still in Quebec. I still have a really big connection with people in Quebec. I do a lot of fiber festival in Quebec. So like you can get the girl out of Quebec and get Quebec out of the girl. So
where do you live now, though, if you keep referring to that's where you're from?
I live in Ontario, about half an hour east of Kingston, which is pretty much between Toronto and Montreal. Been here since 2010, and yeah, I live in the country. You would have told me when I was 20 that I would live in country. I'd say, are you fucking out of your mind? So yeah, there you are.
I feel like a bit too American because I'm just like, you're in Canada and you're like making such a big deal about the fact that you were from Quebec and now you're somewhere else. I'm like, isn't it all the same? I know it's not.
French, like French speaking province versus, yeah. So
I
a
think
lot of
that's
people are like, why
where
are you there?
I took 5 years of French, Sophie. I cannot really say much at all, but I thought I was cool in high school that I was going to do like French and did it for 5 years. I remember we took a trip to Quebec, I'm sure, or some other French part of Canada. I don't remember because when you're in like junior high, it's just a big party and that's all we did. But it was super fun. And I can ask you, what time is it? And I don't know why I can.
There you go. There you
So
go.
now, are
So,
you
yeah.
considered a francophone?
Yes. Yeah.
I love
It's my first language. That's what I grew up speaking until I moved to Montreal when I went to college. So yeah, there you go.
Now, isn't that a lot? So we have vacation friends. We have friends that we met on vacation. They're from Canada. And then we were both like really hating where we were at that time. And then we just all bonded. And then actually ever since then, up until COVID, we would all go on vacation together. So we've been to like Dominican Republic and Mexico and all sorts of stuff. So we haven't seen them in a couple of years, but they're my Canadian friends. They're my only connection. They're the only stuff I ever learn. And I only also learned one other thing, but I think it's really bad. If I say sacre bleu.
That's not too bad. There's worse than that.
Okay.
I have an entire dictionary that's pretty bad too. So, and the funny thing is, I'll be somewhere. I used to work. So in my 20s, I was a gentil organisateur, which is kind of like a resort animation person for Club Med.
Okay.
And yeah. So I hate when I hear people speak like in Anglophone swearing, and because we have a dialect, like French in Quebec is completely different than anywhere else. We have some crazy slang. So yeah.
Well, I know
Fun stuff.
she works in government. So the only reason why I know like the francophone expression is because in all seriousness, when you work in government, isn't it like mandated or something that you actually have to have francophones on staff, like people that can speak French as well as speak English? So that's the only reason why I learned that from a serious business standpoint.
Well, when it comes to federal government, yes. In Ontario, there are some cities that are bilingual, and that's kind of the reason why I never went back, because I came here for a guy, and after not even a year, we broke up, and I could have went on, but I decided to stay for a career that just fell apart later on, but that's a completely different story.
So when you say country,
So,
like how
yep.
country?
Well, I'm surrounded by cornfields and dairy farms.
And you don't have any animals?
No. My partner used to have a hobby farm with horses. They used to board horses. They had like all kinds of stuff. And he's not having it anymore. And he's like, no way. We had goats. At the other house, I had goats. So,
It is a lot of work. I mean, it's a lot of work.
And you're kind of like, a slave to staying, just trying to find people to cover for you when you're away is a pain. So yeah.
About it.
But yeah, no. I thought about having chicken. And because I'm never home anyway. So it's like it would be stuck with the chicken. And I was like, yeah, no. But yeah.
So what do you do with your dogs if you travel? Meaning then he just stays with them?
Well, usually that's what we do. We try to coordinate his work schedule with my travel schedule with all the fiber festivals. And yeah, eventually they'll have to be boarded, but it's easier to board dogs than it is to board sheep or chickens or goats or whatever. So yeah,
I
well,
couldn't
there you
even imagine.
go.
Oh, so Todd, like I said, I really don't know anything about you other than I think you're funny as hell, and we just sort of like vibe on a couple of different levels. But I don't know, like tell for anybody, and guys, drop it in the chat. Like, also do not. I saw somebody. I'm not a loser. Thanks, Deanna. I'm not always super good about like I'm trying to look at the chat and talk. I just always want to keep my focus, but I hope some of you don't know Sophie, and if you don't, drop that in the chat. I mean, that's the whole point of this. If you're like, no, I'm new to her. So Sophie, why don't you like tell us about what you do? And you do happen to be related to the knitting fiber craft community, and like how did that start? And tell everybody what you do.
I want to say hi to Tracy, by the way.
Oh, don't be like, this is not formal. You can do whatever you want. You can just be like, girl, I don't want to talk about that. Let's talk about something else.
Oh no, let's go. Okay, I wanted to say hi to Tracy because she logged in late, and I see she's with her grandson, so that's amazing. Anyways, so my name is Sophie. I'm known as Dolphina. I'm a bag maker, and I started making. Well, I've always been knitting. I've started knitting when I was about 8. I had my first sewing machine when I was 7 years old, and I never really stopped. Some people are like, oh, I took a break, when I got into like high school or college or anything like that. I never really stopped. So when I got to a point where I wanted to just supplement my income, I was like, I need to make something, but I don't want it to be knitting because it's hard to price, and knits and all that stuff. So I decided to start making bags. So I started making my well-known box bags, and I'm really a bad example. I don't have any I have like deconstructed.
Hey, we can see the whole process, right?
So they come and they start like this, but they're like in a shape of a box, perfect for socks, mittens, hats, like for a small project that you can carry around. And then I added this baby, which is called my large project bag. And then I added more and more different models. So I usually have in stock box bags, large project bag. I have a bigger one. It's called extra large project bag. Good. There you go. Kathy has one of my box bags.
Love it.
And I have a bucket, another big kind of like carry-on tote type. So I'm really glad that finally everything is over with Christmas and everything, because I can start working on new bags I want to bring in that are a little more fancy. Because I discovered at the beginning of COVID quilting, and welcome to a new rabbit hole. So yeah. So what I think sets me apart from everybody is the fact that
I was so just gonna ask that. So this is awesome. Go.
So there you go. So what sets me apart now? And that happened, like COVID made me rethink my whole business plan and the whole thing. Where before that, I didn't really know where I belonged. And I didn't really think I was doing that great. So at the end of 2020, when I looked at my year, I was kind of disappointed, and I was kind of ready, because that's the way I am. When something doesn't work, I get discouraged. I want to fucking get rid of everything, put everything in a trash bag, and say, fuck it. And I sat down for about 3 days, and I'm like, I need to rethink this. I need to bring my personality into what I'm sewing. And that's where I let go of all. I don't use off the shelf, what I call off the shelf. So if you go to your quilt shop, well, the fabric that you buy is probably the same fabric I have access to my personal quilt shop.
Okay.
So I actually use a really cool company out of North Carolina called Stonepower, which is an on-demand printing service. And I found my niche, and I started like getting more tattoo related swearing bags. like, you know, shit that really reflects my personality. So if you see something in the wild, you know it's me. And even now that I know people through people, I didn't know that they knew me, but I'll watch a YouTube channel, or I'll watch a live on Instagram and say like, "Oh my god, they have my back." So that's how it is. So, and I got my entire branding changed. I hired an illustrator from British Columbia who did me like a series of like little, they call it chibi. They're little like mini figurines that look like cartoon figurines. I pretty much always work with her. So it's really more my personality, like more cartoony stuff that reflects, that look like a little bit what my tattoo looked like. So yeah,
Cool.
that's all I started. And that's what it is. And why Dolphina Collective?
Yeah.
So I, up until 2017, I was a correctional officer, and I have a near death experience at work, and I've been off since then. And I have a chronic PTSD diagnosis, and I've been in the therapy. I'm still in therapy as we speak.
Mhm.
So there were days where I wasn't as productive and as motivated, because anxiety and depression and all that stuff plays a big thing in this whole, like for me, meeting people is very energizing, but at the base, I'm pretty much an introvert. So I enjoy meeting people. I love meeting people, and I need it, but it's very energy demanding for me.
I remember
So,
the post after Rhinebeck, with regard.
oh, yeah, the Saturday at Rhinebeck was not pretty. But anyways, so I was like, it's easier. And I have friends with some mental health issues as well. I have a friend who has like some social anxiety, so she has a hard time being exposed to like the public for an entire weekend, for example, and stuff like that. So I have her stuff, and I have so my friend Heather from Timber Yarns, the self-striping yarn that I carry, she was caring for her mother for the last 6 years. So she couldn't really actually be that mobile because she couldn't go very far. So I was carrying her stuff with me. And then more, brand were added to that. And it removed a little bit of the pressure of producing as much.
Yeah.
So I had like always a very colorful and very full booth, compared to like if I was just working, especially in the earlier days. Like now it's not as bad, but still, I'm a firm believer in uplifting the community. So I love doing collabs. I've done many, many, many collabs with many different people. I worked with Cabin Boy Knits. I worked with Chelsea Yarn. I worked with a bunch of local people. I've done a bunch of them. So yeah. So that's how the Dolphina Collective actually was
Wait.
formed.
So, but where did Dolphina come from?
Oh, Dolphina was my nickname when I was younger. So I went to California when I was 18, 19. Went to like a camp and was sitting on my board, and I saw a fin coming at me, and nobody was freaking out. So I was like, I don't know what that is, but nobody's like, it's not Jaws or anything. So we must be good. To realize it was a dolphin. So there was, so yeah, so the Dolphina was born. It's funny because I was looking at my Hotmail account, and they show you like when you first open your account. And I think it's like, I opened it in 1995. So.
So wait, I have to ask, why the number 13? It was Dolphina 13.
Like the number.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm.
So I have to tell you that when I saw that, it's funny because just in terms of like relatable, I really appreciate that you were willing, and I didn't get a chance to hit you up prior to this to be like, look, what do you want to share? What do you want to talk about? But I do know that you talk about a lot of stuff on, your Instagram and things like that, which you're so way better. Anybody who knows me, I never post. I always just do stories. And I really need to change that. I think I just kind of get caught up in things and I labor on things a lot. That's why I love Zoom for the people that know me that are on and for people that are new. It just allows, I feel like, a more interaction that I always look for. I mean, I like doing Instagram lives, but you're like trying to look at comments. It's, and even here, I'm not great at looking at the chat because that's not, not that I don't want, but I see faces. I see faces and at least my people know they can unmute themselves at any second and jump in, like that's what I love. And so most of my people know that, the past years and a half has been like really difficult, since losing my mom. And I've really struggled with a lot of things. And, what I think is great is like, on the surface, everybody sees one thing because, right, we have to survive. But it's not something. I love that you post it. I don't hide it. I just don't post. So anybody that really knows me always knows that. My point of it is, wait, I have to tell you this. You put the 13, that was my mom's favorite number. She was born on May 13th. And she was born on Friday the 13th. She loved everything about 13, like all of her passcodes, because she was so illiterate on technical stuff. She like knew nothing. All of her passwords were like 1313, and everybody called her Mama Joe. So when I saw your email, I was like, that's so weird. And I will also say, growing up, she had this fascination, not necessarily with death, but like just believing in an afterworld and maybe with death. I mean, actually, my mom was diagnosed with cancer when she was pregnant with me, and she, survived it her whole life. But we would always visit cemeteries whenever we would go traveling. She just had this thing about like finding, old cemeteries or wherever we were. I don't even know why. And it was never like a bad thing to me. It was just what she loved to do. So I am like so stoked that that's your like beyond belief. I love you even more now.
And it's not even like my best friend is really, she went to Paris and she went to Père Lachaise cemetery with all the superstars and stuff. Like I have no, and it's funny because so at the Adam, like Wednesday came out on Netflix and I was like, I had no interest whatsoever because I never really enjoyed the Adam Family, like the movie originally.
Yeah.
But Wednesday was so good. I'm obsessed now. She's so good. It's so good. But yeah. No, and the thing is, like, I've never stopped doing therapy since 2017. Like I see like a psychotherapist on like a monthly basis right now, but I've been doing some intensive stuff in the last year. Like I've done 2 pre-intensive ones. I'm in the midst of one. I just finished the first part right before Christmas. And my first round with therapy was like a residential therapy for 2 months. Within a year after the incident, it was really hard. And for some strange reason, when I left, I told my psychotherapist, I said, because there is so much pain in law enforcement, I was like, I'm going to be the voice in some strange ways. And I struggled with a lot of stuff. I was bullied and from the time I was in elementary school all the way to when I went to college. And I said, I will help and I will be kind of the face of destigmatizing the whole mental health and the whole PTSD and everything. So that's why, like, it's kind of weird because if you're on my profile, my personal profile, like my Dolphina Collective profile is more for like, new product and the pretty pictures and the grid looks all the same. Personal profile is a shit show. Like there's no rhyme or reason. Like if you're in my stories, don't be offended.
Oh yeah, you're still, well, actually, I don't even know. I don't even know now which one I'm in, but I still find all your stuff to be like funny and you can't be offended whatsoever. So
But I will sparkle some very real talk about where I'm from. You know, like, and I mean by that my path from the time I was a kid and I was bullied, and when it was work, and I had to struggle with PTSD, and then again the bullying and the harassment by my employer, and up to now. So I'm pretty transparent when it comes to that, and I want to make sure that people talk about it. And I have so many people that reach out to, like, oh my God, I didn't know. And, this is my story. And people open up. And that's what I try to do. I had a post about a month and a half ago about body image. That was another issue I had when I was younger. And again, same thing. People were just, flooding with, stories that were relatable. And I mean, I don't, I want to keep it light because there's
yeah.
enough shit in the world, but at the same time, there are some conversation we need to have, and I like to, especially when it comes to mental health, I think it's very important. So
No, I mean, and I also
there
think,
you go.
I think a lot of what it draws people in, right? And probably drew me to you, like it's all about storytelling, and not storytelling in like a fancified way, just people being real. It's funny because, I feel like sometimes we're so pigeonholed that sometimes I even feel uncomfortable going outside of like yarn and animals, or when I post about different things that are more like emotional. It's really interesting, how it strikes chords with people. And it's not because I don't want to, but I think the same thing like you. The biggest thing for me was like COVID was a complete recheck, right? And then like I know so many people would come to me and come to my stories, which I found so weird, that they just wanted to like see my animals. And I would always try to do my best, to keep it light and bring positivity to other people that need it so much. But at the same time, I've always said to people, if I'm not posting, I'm either super busy or like something's not good. And I love when my people, and only because Elizabeth, I see you on the top left of my screen, like I love when people will check in and be like, hey, you're not posting. And I think that's the best thing we can do for ourselves, right? Like you can't put it out there. Like I never want to be fake. If there's anybody who knows me, I'm never going to be fake. Now I might hold back a bit of my trash talk, which I think is why I love you. So I might hold back a little bit of my real self, but on Zoom, people really get a chance to know me because I feel more comfortable about that. In a sense that I feel like if you're here, if you don't want to come back the next time, don't come back the next time. But at the same time, it's such a nice, intimate group. And, even Gina, who was on, like her and I bonded over, deaths of our families. And, there's just like so many things. And yeah, you know what? There's a lot of shit in the world, but how much crap do we see on Instagram of like everybody looking perfect, right? And everybody, using filters. Like, look, my face is red as fucking shit because I'm sweating to death because I got the damn stove on. And I know there's a way to like fix it on this, but I'm not gonna fix it. Like I am also like so tired of looking at all that kind of stuff. Look, you and I work out, right? You're always like on your Stairmaster at Planet Fitness, on your pulper machine. How many like of our fitness things do I see? And I'm like, girl, you don't look that good if you're really working out. Like you must work out because you look good. When I work out, I look like a fucking sweaty, disgusting mess with this vein that comes down the middle of my forehead. And you know how many times I try to like not take a picture with it, but it's just there and I'm sweating and I'm gross.
And then you're like that. It's awesome. And I'm the same. I don't understand how people take like the perfect freaking picture at the gym because I look like
and their
sweaty
hair
mess.
is perfect. I'm like, I roll out of bed.
Oh, and I mean, like, I managed to dodge COVID until mid-November, and did it hit me hard. Like, I was down for about 4 weeks, and then Okay, so something you need to know about me, I am the clumsiest person on the planet. So I have zero balance in the winter. There's one spot of ice. I'm not gonna like walk around it. I'm not looking. So I'm like, anyways, first snowstorm we had about, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks ago. I'm with my dogs. One is a puppy. He's about, I don't know, 15 months old. The other one, she's not that bad. But, and the thing is, he's a hound. Both of them are rescues. If I let the puppy go, I'll find it across the border in 2 weeks somewhere. So I cannot. So I fell twice in the spring. I had 2 concussions. But this time around, I face planted, and I'm not sure on what, but I bruised a rib. Well, at one point I thought I had a broken rib, and then at one point I thought I had like internal hemorrhage. Like, I don't know. But the first week wasn't too bad, and then I'm like, I haven't moved in like a week. I should go to the gym. Bad idea. Really bad idea. I was like, oh my God. And then I went on Dr. Google.
Oh no, no.
For the semi, like, hypochondriac that I am.
I was just gonna say that whole self-diagnosing shit, that's just bad.
It was really bad. And then I have a friend who's a chiropractor, and I'm like, apparently you can actually like, what do you suggest for like a bruise or crack rib? And she's like, oh, there's nothing you can do. Like, you can put ice and take Advils and you'll be fine. But I'm like, I spoke to somebody and I went on YouTube and I looked at, they can actually, she goes, no. Are you having issues like breathing? I'm like, no, I think I'm fine.
All right, wait. So girl, have you ever heard of cat tracks?
No, with that.
Okay, I need to mail you cat tracks. So there are these things that you strap onto the bottom of your shoes that basically give you like.
Oh no, yeah. Well, of course I do have some. Well, now I do.
Do you use them?
I do.
Oh, all right. Well, you're better than me because actually I'm kind of lazy, and then I refuse to like put them on my shoes. So then I just do this. I just try to like take little steps so I don't fall.
Well, and I do that, but you should see my driveway. So I live in a forest of pine. So my driveway is an ice rink the entire winter. I don't have a choice whether I want it or not. And especially when, we go, because now it's like, what, about in the 30s? In the 30s for you guys right now, but it's going to go up in like the 40s, almost 50s over next weekend. So everything's going to melt. It's going to rain. It's going to be, because I have about 3 feet of snow right now. Like, it's fucking crazy. Okay. I look at your stories today and I'm like, it's bare. We had like snowmageddon. Like, it was so bad.
No. Let me tell you something. Like, I can deal with the cold, but if you have animals, once you get snow, like if we get a really bad storm, like I can't even get to my animals until like midday because you have to like dig them out. Like, it's crazy. No, I don't want snow. Snow is beautiful. This is what I say to all my knitters, everybody who's on. They're all like, oh, it's lovely. That's because you're sitting inside with your cup of tea or your cup of coffee or whatever you are doing, knitting and looking out the window. Those of us here, we have to deal with that shit. It's not so lovely.
Well, yesterday, that's what I did all day. Snow removal. It was great.
No.
I was bad for 2 days, like from the 23rd until yesterday. Like winds, like wicked winds.
Yeah, we did have some bad
snow drifts the whole night. It was bad.
Yep. No, it is.
It
is. Absolutely.
It was super fun.
All right. So I do want to just say one thing to circle back in terms of karma, and then we're going to get off that subject because I do want to keep it light. But I want to tell you it's super interesting is that Christopher, my husband, who's a farrier, so he just came home today. That's why I was also running late. And he had a new guy that was working with him today. And just interestingly enough, he was talking about how the person that like came to like try it out was actually a vet and had the it's not even. And so I told him that it's all about, he thinks like as if anybody knows, as far as like having, he's a vet and he suffers from
PTSD. Yeah.
PTSD. Yeah. So it was just funny when I told him, I said, oh my God, I was like, I'm going to be Zooming with Sophie tonight. And like, I know she talks about that all the time. And so, yeah, it was like, again, just that karma thing, you know, the whole 13 thing. I just thought it was really interesting in that sense. So I definitely will be listening even more, you know, for sure, because I know for this gentleman it's real, and you know, I think it's important, you know, for people to be able to also be compassionate and learn how to work with people that, you know, have certain things that they need to steer around. Like he was just happening to say, like he needs to. Thank you. I said no pigs and no dogs in this Zoom tonight. So anyway, I just thought that was another karma thing that I thought was like really super cool that I wanted to just share with you. So,
but I will tell you something, and it's too bad you're kind of far, but while I was in therapy, like in 2018, I met somebody who has a sheep farm.
Really?
And I went for like right after lambing, and then there is a farm right around the corner from here, and I volunteered because there is something about animal therapy,
Yes.
especially for people with PTSD. Like there's a sanctuary, like there's equine therapy you can do for PTSD. There is something with holding. I sat down for like an hour bawling myself and feeding a baby lamb that was so soothing, and probably the more at peace I had been in a very long time. Yeah. So that's why I think there is something special, like even going to Rhinebeck and see all the animals and stuff like that. I mean, it's very, very comforting too. So
yeah.
Yeah.
No, it absolutely is. I mean, you know, COVID kind of shot things down, but I would do what we call llama lessons. So I would have kids that would work with llamas, just like if you were going to go and take horseback riding lessons, you know, learning a skill, learning how to interact with an animal, being able to apply it. Maybe you'd want to compete, you don't have to compete. And honestly, through all my years, the kids that really bonded with it more so were the kids that were not involved in sports. They were the kids that, you know, were the not cool kids. Many of them had, you know, physical disabilities to a small degree. Many of them maybe had other disabilities. It was just amazing, you know. So yeah, I'm a big proponent. And that was the sad thing for us. We would actually also do a lot of like nursing homes and skilled living facilities with our animals, and COVID shut all of that down. But we would do what we call window visits. So, you know, then we would go and, you know, walk around outside and, you know, just have the animals go to the windows. I mean, whatever we could do. So it is, even for myself, my one sheep, she's now passed, but I love alliteration. And so her name was Lily. So I would always say, if you needed a little Lily love, you know, because you were just having a bad day. As much as I love my llamas, I have to say my sheep trump, you know, just going out there and just petting them and interacting with them. Mumford, as maybe like many people know, is like a big one. I mean, he's this big moose, and he'll just come up and you pet his chin and he like looks up at you, and if you stop he comes closer. And like it is that whole, have you seen this whole like ASMR trend? You know, and so I've learned when I'm videoing my animals to just kind of like keep my mouth shut, because sometimes that silence was hard for me. No, really, I'm always like I gotta say something. And then I learned, like, no, I don't. Because the whole thing is awkward for me, honestly. To just be like videoing my animals and me feeding them and stuff is uncomfortable for me because I'm like, I do this every day. It's what I do. But I've learned to just shut my mouth and just video and just let people enjoy them as they are if they can't be here. So yeah.
Just think about that person who lives in an apartment in New York City or in Montreal that doesn't have, like, that fresh air and those, like, that. Yeah.
No, it is. But when you're living it, it's so hard to understand that. But again, through all my friends, those that are on right now, like that's really what I've learned, is that I have to remember this isn't people's lives. Like this is my life. Do you know how many people come here for a farm tour? Just today, I had a family that called me last minute and they're like, can you do a tour today? I'm like, yeah, well, I'm like, I'll just scrap going to the gym. I'm like, I'm here, no problem. And, they came and we did a farm tour and, they're from Long Beach, which is like for us, it's like an hour and 15 minutes away. They're up island, as we would call it. And like they just absolutely loved it. And it's so magical to see the kids. And, the one boy was such an extrovert. The girl was an introvert, but then she opened up and, it's they came during COVID. And, it just reminds me all the time that my life is weird, but it's not weird to me. And people come here and they're like, is that your house? I'm like, yeah, it's my house. I'm like, I don't understand that. And again, today, they're like, do you live here? I'm like, of course I live here. So it just,
where do you want?
I forget how weird, my life is in that sense. So, well, here's a couple of things. All right, let's switch gears. Your tattoos.
I have a question for you.
Oh, for me. All right, go.
Do you knit?
Oh, you bitch. I do. Come on. You've seen my stories. You follow me.
I don't know. Like
I feel like that was a loaded question. But if it was not like planned, all my people that are on here are laughing right now, which is totally fine. Now, I will tell you, I actually just knitted not that long ago for a commissioned like project. One of like my oldest long time, I should say, customers. She knits as well, but she just didn't feel like knitting and she wanted something to be able to take to Italy with her when she traveled. So I did our parish cowl for her. And then one of my friends who I don't think she's on tonight, she called me out to say like, I don't see you actually knitting, like you could have just done that. So I took a video of like me, it was casting off. And I actually wanted for the 12 days of Christmas to have something on my needles so I could also do that because I was so surprised at how many people had so much fun over watching me knit. So
I honestly, like, I follow you. I hardly see any stories or any post of you knitting.
Absolutely.
So I'm like, maybe she just doesn't have time, or maybe she doesn't knit at all. Because
no, it's the time
I think it's
factor. No, it's the time factor. But I will say, interestingly enough, one of the people that I got connected with is Linda at Blue Sky Fibers, and I remember when I met her, like she doesn't knit at all. So her whole Blue Sky Fibers business was just because she had alpacas, she loved them, she kind of downsized, she started this whole commercial business, and she doesn't knit a freaking thing, like doesn't knit, like doesn't even know how. And I thought that's so amazing because who cares? Like you don't always have to, right? And I do get razzed in some ways, and I love it. I literally get roasted a lot about it, and I'm okay with that. So yes, I do know how to knit. My whole journey, actually. So tomorrow night is Kimberly McAlinden and myself. And I was actually a spinner before I was a knitter. So my journey is backwards. And I feel like that's what gives me, like you were talking about your different perspective of your bags. I feel like my different perspective of coming to the knitting industry, the yarn world, is because I come from the animal end of it and then kind of moved this way. And even when I started, for instance, two things, I was so amazed that first of all, I think people are more up to speed now, but I would meet knitters that didn't understand what merino was. Like they didn't understand that was a breed of sheep. They didn't understand that there were other breeds of sheep. Like, and so that was, I'm like, what? Because again, I only know my world. I don't know other people's perspectives. The other thing, when I vended at Vogue Knitting Live for the first time, I missed the first year because I got married. And then the second year, that's always the joke. People were amazed when I said, like, this is a natural black or this is a natural brown. They were like, that's not dyed. I'm like, what do you mean it's not dyed? It's black. Why would I dye black?
Well, it's like there's people with blonde hair, there's people with black hair, and so on.
But
so, yeah,
I didn't
understand
that in the commercial knitting industry, black yarn was dyed to be black, to be consistent black. I produced a black that was natural. So there might be flecks of white or flecks of red, or, like that was my thing. Like I didn't get it. I didn't even understand that if you went and bought brown yarn, that it was dyed brown or white. So that's where I started learning. That was my expression. This is as white as real white gets. There's no like crystal snow white. It doesn't exist, So that was my journey. Is I learned to spin first and got addicted to that. And then I would just spin yarn for people and I would just gift it. They didn't even know how to knit. I'm like, who cares? I made this for you. And then I gradually learned how to knit. And in my early days, I did do a lot. I need to go to my archives. I have this one epic scarf that was like a full of shit ton of cables that I would never do now if my life depended on it. But like I did a lot of knitting early on, but I've just scrapped and I've hustled and I've built my business. And so my time doesn't allow that, as much anymore. That creative part of me has to go. And then now for me, I feel like the creative part of me is like, what can I do different? Who can I work with? Like, I'm okay.
Because you don't have as much. I was just curious because it's funny. So we have a really big fiber festival in Quebec, and the founder has a journey a little bit like yours. She has goats.
Cashmere or Angora?
Cashmere.
Okay.
So that's how she started. She started spinning the cashmere of her goats. And then she got really into it because I think she was like in TV production or something like that.
Okay, yeah.
And she started spinning with her goats and she liked it so much. And the festival is like it's going to be 12 or 11 years in 2023. Yep.
Yeah. I follow.
You met Amélie. I have to introduce you to her. She comes every year because she works with a dyer who has a farm in Maine. Her name is Jackie. I don't remember her last name.
Yeah, Jackie Otino.
There you go.
I did a collab with Jackie back in COVID in Forage Color. And actually, you know what? Wait, you know what? Now I'm remembering. I think you'll have to send me her name because I want to say somehow or other through Jackie, I think somebody from Twist did hit me up or somehow or other
probably
like connected, and then it just kind of fell apart because look, that is the one peril I'm sure you can appreciate of small business. There are so many balls in the air and like we drop so many of them because we can only do so much, like, right? We can only keep up with so much. But yeah, so Jackie, I found her. It's kind of too long of a story. It's not worth it. But I did a collab with her at the end of 2020. And then, I think I just remember now that you just say that, I'm like, oh my God. So there was like a slight introduction there.
Well, there you go. And then, so Amélie comes to Rhinebeck and she and Jackie teaches. So they're always together. And that's how I met her.
Okay.
So, yeah. But see, Tammy from Wing and a Prayer came to Twist this year.
Oh, did she?
Yeah.
All right, so
Mhm.
explain this to me, because also because I do, of course, want to promote your business. Here's always my challenge with people that want to shop from us from Canada. Now, we do actually on our site, we have a new option where instead of like the regular like USPS priority, there's some other option that they can take, which reduces the shipping a little bit. But it's so expensive. I mean, you think like Canada's not that far and it's always so prohibitive. But I will say there also are some people from Canada that, like my friend in particular, if they live close enough to the border, they have a New York like PO box or something, but not everybody has that option. So how do
And
you
so I'll tell
do
you
you ship
something.
to US? Because like most of
I
these are
do
not.
ship to US because there's two things. Um, Canada Custom are so not nice.
Okay.
Like so not nice. Like I I have an affiliate link with Summer Camp Fiber. She sent me stuff and it cost me almost as much in custom than it cost me for the yarn.
Yep.
Where the other way around, I don't know of anybody who ever paid custom on my stuff. That's one thing. Second thing, it's cheaper for me to send from here to my friend Katie that's here. She lives in California.
Okay.
It's cheaper for me to send it to her than it is to send the next town over.
Wow.
Welcome to Canada Post.
So do you ship to people in the US? How does that work for you?
Oh, it works great. For the first couple years, especially, so I visited Christina from Chelsea Yarn back in 2018. And in the span of probably 6 months, I went to her shop probably about 4 times. I did a couple trunk shows, and I was on her old podcast, and that made me explode in the States. Like up until about 3 years ago, I was selling more to the States than I was selling here.
Right, right.
So yeah,
And didn't you say you're not that far from?
I'm
'Cause,
I'm
actually, I don't know if she's still on, but my friend Cheryl, I know her earlier comment. She said that she's not too far from the border. I think when you and I were talking, like how.
I'm 45 minutes from the border.
Right, right,
I was
right.
I was even closer before.
Yeah.
And I do have a PO box in the States. So when COVID hit, that was complicated.
Uh, so I was gonna say, and so I don't want to like hold you to anything, but I feel like the next time that you're gonna come and visit Christina at Chelsea Yarn. So, and I don't have my notes in front of me, so I don't remember what day she's gonna be on, but she's
The
gonna be.
third or something. Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't remember, but I know she'll be on as well. But I would so love to get you here or like hang
We'll
out
go
or
and make it.
something. We have to make it possible.
Oh yeah. I'll try to
And
pop in.
I don't want to hold you to anything because I didn't even get to talk to you about this either. But so like part of a lot of this is like me selfishly like putting people on my 12 days of Christmas that I want to be able to like work with, do things with, like people that I love, adore. So like I don't know, I would love to see if there's something that we can come up with together. One of our sneak peeks.
Well, you know what? You invite and it's funny because so I try to find I have a helper. She comes at least once or twice a week for about 8-10 hours a week. She helps me with like cutting fabric and all that stuff. She's so white. And you know you approach it, you're like, want to come and share booth, Vogue, and this and that. And I was like, and I want to say yes. I say yes to everything. Or I tend to say yes to everything. The only problem is a lot of time I say yes to too many things and then I get to it
Oh,
and I
right,
get overwhelmed.
right.
So this year I pulled out for the first time of my life. I pulled out of a show because I was overwhelmed.
Well,
Like
good for you.
and I was like, I rather do less shows and do the bigger ones than be just spread myself too thin
Yeah.
and not bringing my best to like each show.
That was
So
me.
when you ask so when you asked me, I was like, and I have such fond memories of my first Vogue, which was the one in 2019. And my helper was like, Sophie, I know you want to go, but can you handle, because it's not only the show itself,
No, it's strange.
because you get like, I mean, you get to the show and then you get so much exposure.
Yeah, yeah.
And she's like, can you handle like all the orders that will actually trickle from that on top of all the shows that you're doing already? And I was like, oh, fuck. Thanks for being my voice of reason.
No, but here's the thing also, though, there's nothing saying you have to take orders. I am a big believer in the whole FOMO. You make what you can make, you show up, and that's that. And then it sends people afterwards too, right? Like you don't have to create promises, that are
No, I
gonna.
know, but I don't want to be in a spot where you sell out all the time, people get angry because you don't have stock. Like I see that happen to a lot of small businesses.
See, it's so
Like,
funny. I do not expect, so I'm just only cutting you off because everybody knows how I operate. And a lot
oh
of,
no, and
we don't
it's not
master
because I don't want to do it. And
No,
like, I'm not saying it, and I'm like, probably 2024, buddy, we should fucking do something. My brain is always like,
but this was not that at all. You can just stay in Canada wherever you are. I'm just saying, if you think about it, if you ever want to with your, doing spoon flour, like if you ever just want to like do a bag or like do a print, like I'm not saying be in person. I mean, selfishly, yes, you
want to be in person. What are you talking about?
Well, then you're like, leave me hanging. I thought you were going to say you were going to change your mind. I was so excited for a second. So being in person, you need to just come visit the farm and have a good time. You need to know there's ever no obligations. It's not about product. It's just about friendship.
And it's not an obligation. It's me being the way I am, that I want to do everything and I want to be everywhere. And I just want to, like, I'll tell you a quick story. So this year I started Dolphina apparel just for fun. I put my name on a sweatshirt and said, fuck it. This is an humbling experience to see people pay money to walk around with my name on their chest. Okay, this is the weirdest imposter syndrome situation you can ever imagine.
I love it. Well, selfishly, you need to come to the farm so we could just hang out. I don't give a shit about bags. I don't give a shit about yarn. Like, I don't care about any of that. You just need to come and hang out at the farm, meet my animals, have a great time, and that's all. But moving forward, if there's ever a personalized print that you can think of to put on a bag, to make a bag for life, Long Island Yarn and Farm, I'm totally in, and I'm sure people would totally be in too. So that's the other
we
thing.
can come up with something.
Well, I want to, first of all, I don't know, like my most important thing is that I hope if somebody is on here and they've not followed you before, they are following you now, because that's the most important thing beyond anything. And I put it in the chat a while ago because it's not my main focus, but I do want to make sure though that everybody knows on my end, we do have a coupon code. It's Holiday Life. That's going to get you 10% off anything if you choose to order. Now, I will say, this is me leading up to the holidays. I'm like, well, you know what? I'm not going to see everybody for Christmas. And so I still have Christmas shopping to do because it's still the holidays. And so I'm still going to be bringing cookies to people and things to people. But the most important thing, guys, is that we do want to give back. And we've got a lot of people that donated so much to us over the holiday season for our open house that we do here on the farm. And I thought this year, you know what, there's so many of you that love me, adore me. You can't get to the farm, you don't live here, and I appreciate that. So we do have a gift basket, and the way that you can get in on it is just the same as we do here at our open house. If you do make a purchase, which people have been, it's totally VIP. So I've not posted this because I'm not going to. It's always just been like on Zooms and things like that. So some of you are already in the drawing, but basically, if you do happen to shop with us, if you use the code Holiday Life, that is where you'll get in the drawing. And for every $10 that you spend, which is what we do here on our farm, then one ticket goes into the basket. And that's how you get in for the drawing. And we're going to be doing the drawing on January 6th. Now, I will just quickly, because I hate to make it about that, but I do want to just say thank you to people. So my friend Lisa Hoffman, that's going to be on with us. She's got patterns that are in it. She also has a sampler blanket book that's going to be in it. Lori Kimmelsteele, even though she's not going to be with me, her daughter Becky from Clinton Hill Cashmere is going to be with us. And she's got a pattern that's in it. Kate Atherley, who's been a huge supporter of us and did a pattern with our yarns. She's got a $25 coupon that's in the basket. Patty Lyons, who I also love, is also giving 25% off one of her online classes. My friend Amy Kidd, I saw her on earlier. I don't know if she's still on. I shear her sheep down in North Carolina. So she's got 2 ounces of her roving that is also in it. My dear friend Carol, which I don't think I have her on the lineup, but she's really hard to get a hold of, believe it or not. But there's a baby alpaca scarf that is in this basket. There's a needle case. Chelsea Yarns, Christina, she's got a skein of yarn that we've put in it valued at $58. There is also a hand woven pouch from Shepherdess Studio, who's going to be on with us as well. Clinton Hill Cashmere actually has her linen tote bag, which I need to get the behind the scenes from Becky about where she gets like her tote bags and all that kind of stuff done, because I love her things. So she's got a bag in there. We've got bamboo needles, Asylum Fibers, Stephanie. There's actually a 5 mini skein set that she's donated. Stephanie's going to be on with us later this week. Vogue Knitting donated a book. And there's another skein from Stephanie, and then there's a needle travel book. And I think Kimberly McElinden's also throwing some stuff in. So as of right now, it's $463 worth of fun. And all you have to do to get in is use that coupon code. So that also gives you 10% off if you guys choose to shop with us. And so for every $10 that you spend, then your ticket is going to go in the basket. And January 6th, so you guys all better be there. That's going to be the drawing. So I'm super excited. Plus, we're going to name the baby llama. So that is.
I'll send you a bag.
It is. And you know what? Honestly, it was just a great idea because obviously we had so many people that were so generous. We do an event Thanksgiving weekend. We always do open houses to benefit charities. So our charity is Camp Hope, which you might appreciate, Sophie. It's a bereavement program for youth and adults, for people that have lost loved ones. We bring our animals to their camp. Their camp is amazing. They actually have the caregivers, they call it, because it's not always parents. So it's the caregivers as well as the children that come to this camp. They all get met up with a buddy. So we bring our animals for that program. And then unfortunately, since COVID, they've not had holiday parties, but it's also connected with a hospice program. And so they take our donations. And this year we raised $1,600 between monetary donations and gift cards from people coming to our open house that we could give back to them, as well as some small donations of toys and some toiletries and things like that. So it's amazing. And I know there's so many people that would also like to give, but they're not local. So we just had all these great donations, and I wanted to be able to give back to the people that spend time with us. And that's that.
And I never have promotions. And I have just for this group until January 6th, use code 12 days and you get 10% off.
Did you put it in the chat?
It's in the chat with all my shit.
Awesome. Well, you're way better than me because I'm always like so focused on like people's faces and you and I appreciate that. And like I said, it's not what it's about, but more than anything, I just really hope that I hope that there's people that did not know you and now they do know you. And like I'm just
Yeah, and I put all my Instagram stuff.
good.
And there's gonna be like, I'm sitting in a sea of bags, like there's a pile there. So I try to get one print a day done and posted on the site, but today was supposed to be this, and I ran out of handles, so it's gonna go tomorrow. It's gonna be a
All right,
tomorrow
wait,
thing.
before we go, because we have to, and like honestly, I'm so thankful that you've given me this much time because people know me, like I could just talk and talk and talk and talk. And most of the time we do we have a community night. So it's the second Wednesday of every month. And that was our normal in-person knitting group. And then of course it got changed to Zoom. And I really love it on Zoom because so many people can join us. So it's from 7 to 9 and we just go on and on and on. But I cannot leave without us talking about our tattoos. So we have to end with that. So you have to tell me about your tattoo story and
And before we go, and you asked about it. So you wanted to know what Vlogmas is.
Yeah,
It's just more like a day in the life.
Of what?
But it's very demanding. So you have to film, and then if it's on YouTube, last year I would spend like an hour or two editing the whole thing. So this year I decided to do realness. So a reel on Instagram.
Okay.
So it's a minute or so. It's super quick, and it's a snapshot of what you did during the day. I decorated my empty tree for about. People got to see my empty tree for about 2 weeks and all kinds of stuff, and you get to see what I eat in the morning and what I do with my dog. Like my life is so boring.
No,
but it's fun. So it's a little bit out, what your Christmas traditions are, leading Christmas, stuff like that. Unfortunately, my last week was just chaos. So it stopped at what, 28? No.
but you know what? That's the
like
beauty of it. Like what we do not need to be like, we do not need to feel guilty if real life takes over and we can't like continue with it, right?
Well, and I mean, like, I feel like a loser because I didn't finish. But when it gets to the end, I just forget. And then I had therapy every day. Like, it was just way too much. So I forgot.
So
I have a lot of footage. I should do like a big like cram of like my last 5 days before Christmas and just put it in one. But that's what realness is. But if you want to know about the test,
do you have any traditions, recipes? Like again, Boxing Day. I know earlier I saw somebody post about that. I think Don posted about that. Like, so is there anything Canadian, Quebecian? Is there anything that you do different or special that's like important to you?
probably not. There were when my grandmother was alive. It's not, but now it's like I'm setting up like the new tradition for my partner's kids. They're grown-ups, like they're not babies. So, but so I don't know if I should say this story, but
What?
So I have a lot of kids that are actually working. They're either shift workers or they work in law enforcement and stuff like that. So they're always working or they're away on Christmas Day. So I don't remember the last time I celebrated Christmas on the day of.
Okay.
So this year was February, was the 23rd. I got my turkey out of the fridge. I opened the bag and Tabitha, the stench coming out of that thing, I almost died. So I had a fucking panic attack. And Roger, who is like the level-headed of the two of us, and he's like my rock, and he's the voice of reason, and he's like, okay, do you have the phone number of the like, we have a butcher shop that's not far away. I'm like, there won't be any fucking turkey like 2 days before Christmas. Well, he called. There was a mistake. There was like a 19-pound turkey. So we probably had the best fucking turkey around the block. And everything was fine. Nobody died. It was
See
all
that?
good.
See that?
So yeah.
There's always a
perfect.
solution. There's always a solution.
There's always a solution. There you go. And it was like a snowstorm, and all the kids made it. So it was canceled. It was all good. So
good. Good, good, good. Well, I'm glad. Well, yeah. So if you want to talk about a shit show, I posted on my stories because I always make homemade applesauce. It's not complicated. Most of the time people are like, oh my God. And I'm like, okay, oh my God, nothing. It just takes hours to cut and peel all the apples. And then you just allow it to do its own thing. And I literally let it like simmer overnight. So the house smells great. Anyway, I go through all this effort, and then on the day of, like, so we always eat really super late because if you have a farm, you're working until daylight is no longer. And then my friends came over and I was still outside feeding. Anyway, so my husband was responsible for like getting all the food out and setting the table. And then by then I probably had one too many drinks. So then I'm just like, woohoo. And wouldn't you know it, that fucking applesauce that I spent all night slaving over and posted, did it get out for the holiday?
same here.
So it's like,
I make like this.
I'm like, so I have all this applesauce, which is fine. I still made it and I'll still enjoy it. But somebody earlier, I was chatting on Instagram and I'm like, would you know my applesauce didn't even make it to the table? Now, however, my homemade stuffed shells made it to the table. So not only, folks, can I knit, but I can also cook, even though people don't ever see that.
Yay.
All right, last tattoos, and then we're wrapping it. Tattoos,
Okay.
tell me about them.
Oh, I started young, and then I stopped.
Okay.
And then, when people are asking you, what does it mean? Well, for me, it doesn't mean anything. For me, it's more, some people are buying like an expensive painting, well, that big painting, well, I put it all over. That's what it is. And it's a reflection of my personality. So it's probably where the idea of, the rebranding of my business actually came from. But like, there's a sewing machine there. I have like on my calf, it's like a little me in the winter with my dog Charlie that passed away 2 years ago. And yeah.
So many
like
people say to me like about the pain, because it doesn't tickle. So I don't, there's a reason why some people do it and some people don't, because it's not fun.
Well, and I run out of stuff to watch, and a lot of people are like, I watch a lot of stuff about tattoos, and somebody said there is a reason why people enjoy it. It's another way to redirect pain that you can actually feel. So yeah. So I have a 12-hour piece on my back that was pretty.
You sat
painful.
wait. You did that in one sitting?
In 2 days.
Okay.
I did 2 6 hours or 8 hour and 4 hours. I'm not sure. But the second day, at one point, she's like, "What? I gotta go at a dentist appointment," and my toes were like that. My eyes were.
Well, my arm, it was like he wouldn't do it all in one thing because there was like certain reflections of like needing pieces to heal before he would like do the next piece, like that kind of thing. Because I remember when I went for my wolf, it was so quick and I was like, that's it? I'm like, can we work on more? He was like, no, I need that to like settle in. So I think it depends on, the piece and the dimensions, that kind of thing. But
that.
Go ahead. Yeah. I remember you showed me this.
Well, there's about 3 hours left, but
That's
that
crazy.
was, yeah, that was
I don't
fun.
know that I'm gonna do a full back like that, but my back is definitely next. That's for sure. So I have to tell you this, and you'll probably get a giggle out of it if you've not seen it in my stories. Are you familiar with Kimberly McAlinden, who I'll be with
Mhm.
tomorrow night? So she got her first tattoo. I don't mean to put in quotes, but she got her first tattoo. Um, and she she got a rainbow like right here, like on her arm. But her and I, again, so just like you, and I truly mean this, the whole 13, her and I have so many similarities. We kind of like dropped off for a little bit. We were like really good friends a while ago, and then we kind of like fell apart and came back together. And the similarities between like her age and my age, where we both lost our moms, and like how things have changed for us as a result of that. And then her, knit a rainbow. So she got this knit a rainbow. And then last year, her and I did a knit along. So I will say, for anybody who's on, please join us tomorrow night, because we'll definitely be doing a little bit more about our sneak peek for our upcoming knit along. But my favorite quote from her was, she got this like little rainbow like on her, on her forearm, and she was like so excited, which of course she should be. And then meanwhile, there's like, me with this like whole like, arm piece. And she's like, she's like, I'm like My Pretty Pony, or I forget what she said exactly, but basically she was like, I'm like My Pretty Pony. And she's like, you're like Xena the Warrior. Like we were just like complete opposites. She's all like rainbows and roses, and I'm just like, yeah, like with my whole piece. It was like the best. Like it was just so funny. I almost like, it was just great. And I think we just have to embrace all of who we are. And I think that's one of the things that I connect with you about as well, which I think is like super fun too. So
What are you thinking?
this still hurts like shit. So do you have anything on your hands? No, you didn't do your hands.
Yeah.
You know what wait,
I'm hungry
why
after
so
eating.
I'll tell you why I did my hand, because when I got my sleeve, I was like so proud of it. And then winter came, and then my clothes were at my wrist. And I was like, no, I'm like, you need to know. I'm like, I have epic shit here. Like,
Thank you.
so I swear to God, my whole reason for doing my hand was just because I got tired of trying to roll up my sleeves.
There you go.
Is that the same for you? In a way.
I'm not sure. I saw something on somebody's end that looked like this. I sent a picture to my artist and I said, can you do something similar to that? And she came up with this, and yeah.
I love it.
Because it's not like on this side, it's not like a full like this one.
Yeah.
Like this one goes all the way to the wrist, but this one was stopping like right here.
Yeah.
So there.
Very cool. I have to show you. There's a girl in California that does like really amazing like handwork. She just does pretty much like forearms handwork. It's really, really, really beautiful. Like using a lot of the mandalas that you and I have talked about, and a lot of dot work. So it's kind of like delicate. So for me, I feel like my hands are way too masculine. So I told my guy I couldn't go across my whole hand because it would just be like complete man hands. So I needed it to like streamline so it wouldn't like make it look quite so masculine. So anyway, that's where I'm at. I know, but see, you have the nails. You have the nails. I don't have nails. That's the whole point.
Well, when I have nails, that's kind of the reason why, because I have man fingers. Like I have the sausage fingers.
Yeah, well, that's my sausage fingers, and I can't keep nails because I have a whole farm to feed. So,
and you shear sheep and shit. So yeah,
as is. If I'm shearing in like my diamonds and my rings and all my jewelry, which by the way, gonna have Kirsty as my Birdie Parker design, so she's gonna be on later too. I love this.
I saw that.
I wear it all the time. So. Sophie, anything you want to leave anybody with before we go? Because you've given me so much time and I love you for it.
It was fun. That's all I have. That shows she wrote, let's go.
No, absolutely. Send it. Well, I really, really appreciate it. And thank you for spending your Boxing Day with me. And unfortunately, I wanted to be able to like load up my boxing video, but I didn't get that far. So I'll have to figure out a way to share it so everybody can see it. Because obviously it's not the real Boxing Day, but I still thought it would be fun. And I appreciate you so much. And I have a newfound love for you. And I hope everybody will give you a follow. Please definitely. Do you have your own website or do you work off of Etsy?
I have both.
All right. Well, please
I
make
have
sure.
both, but I left all my infos,
Good.
dolphinacollective.com,
Good.
12 days for 10% off. I'm on Instagram, Dolphina13 or Dolphina Collective, Dolphina Collective on Facebook. That's it.
Absolutely. Guys, like I said, this is not about anything other than just showing love to other small businesses and people that I adore. So please go ahead and give Sophie some love. And don't forget also my coupon code. And if you guys jump in on that, if you're like me, I'm still shopping for people for Christmas. And even if you're not, shop for yourself. But remember, for every $10 that you spend, that'll put you in the raffle drawing for the basket that we have. But I thank you so much, everybody, for hanging in with us. Again, this superseded my expectations because for the most part, we had about 20 people. I know we're down to like about 13 now, but that's because we've just gone on and on.
It's late. Tabitha, this is past my bedtime. I'm in bed usually by 8 o'clock. What are you talking
See,
about?
I'm a nighttime girl. Like I am so nighttime. In the morning, I'm just like, shoot me. My shearing season only makes me pretend I'm a morning person, but like I will go on now for another couple of hours. So either way, cheers. I switched to my Carly cup because if any truth told, these cups don't really hold a lot. So I had 2 cups ready to go for this evening.
Well, I'm in there with my super tumbler.
Well, I was trying to be cool because like I thought this was cute because I had the cursing on it. So I thought that was totally for you. And then most of my other people expect me to be drinking out of my Carly cup. So I was just trying to like represent everybody. All right, lady. Mwah.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone for showing up. You're amazing.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Everybody
Happy New Year, guys.
Thank you.
Tell us,
Happy
guys, what
holidays.
you think. And don't forget, join us tomorrow night. Kimberly and I think it's 7:30. I don't have it in front
I
of me.
think so. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think Kimberly and I are starting at 7:30 as well. So definitely some sneak peeks about our knit along will be going on for tomorrow night. So much love, everybody. Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate
Thank you, ladies.
All right. Love you.
Bye.